I'm Justin, one of the co-founders of TableTapas Games and a developer on Stellar Ventures, which is the game that I want to talk to you about today. In Stellar Ventures, you take on the role of an investor, infusing capital into corporations that will vie for dominance in space, the final frontier. The game can best be described as a high interaction economic game that combines some of our favorite elements of 18xx and cube rails while really subverting some of those expectations of the genre and infusing elements of more modern design as well. All while really heavily leaning into the thematic setting that we're creating for Stellar Ventures. At its core, it's really a game about taking the money you start with, investing wisely in shares of the companies both you and other players around the table own, running those companies, and then ending the game with the most money. It plays 3 to 5 players in about 90 to 150 minutes. Has a medium heavy weight with real focus on creating sticky and thematic rules that do ultimately get out of the way to help the table focus on the core of the game, which is making the most money in space. But before I get too far into game specifics, I think a little background on how the partnership around this game developed will provide some insights into why we believe it's special and why we should be considered for PAX Rising. Nav and my co-founder and I, we were at PAX Unplugged last year, and we really furthered our bond over love of games that had shared incentives, shared infrastructure, high interaction, and most importantly, these fun moments around the table that result in laughter and groans and just a memorable experience. And we can get behind puzzly games where you're focused on building out your board with a little less player interaction, but we really love connecting with people as we play games with these shared incentives and decision spaces filled with kind of uneasy and temporary alliances. And we thought a lot of players would love these types of games if we could just remove some of the common barriers to play. Games in this style are often highly procedural, and they can be really impenetrable to newer players as they lack good player aids and user interfaces. So one morning over coffee before we went into the con, we were actually learning a print and play of what would become Stellar Ventures. And we said, would it be crazy to try and start publishing games and that check these boxes that we're looking for? High interaction, deep replayability, interesting and strategic and tactical decisions. Really force players into sharing incentives, but put a high priority on accessibility and user interfaces that can make these styles games more appealing to the modern gamer. And from that, TableTapas was born. So we reached out to Pontus, the designer of the game, and we gave him our mission of publishing games in this space, and it resonated with him, and he entrusted us with a design he'd been working on for several years. And over the last 9 months, we've partnered with him to further really develop and refine this into something that we all think is really special. The core underlying economic system of the game has really responded incredibly well to a number of different approaches to design and what the system is capable of. And so we think of this as more of a game system that with some minor tweaks and changing maps can create a really wide variety of different styles of play and really provide gamers with a lot of depth and replayability and ultimately kind of a way to customize their experience. A game is really broken up over 2 alternating phases. There's a corporate phase and an investor phase. In the corporate phase, you're really presiding over these corporations to make decisions. You're issuing shares in a player-driven auction to raise capital for your corporations so that you can expand it, put network of outposts on resource-valuable planets, increase your mining capacity. Players are then going to be ordering spaceships, which will be delivered in future turns, which will increase their cosmically accelerated resource gathering operations, or cargo for short. And really ensure what's being mined can actually be transported to those faraway lands and markets and make you money. Because keeping your mining capacity and your cargo in line with each other is how you maximize dividends, which is how, as a shareholder in these companies, you're going to gain funds that can be used to further invest and increase their end-game score. But you need to keep a careful eye on that changing level of spaceship technology, because as the game progresses, when certain new spaceship technology enters the market, it's going to immediately make some of that older spaceship technology obsolete, removes them right from the game, and can have huge consequences on your company's dividend depending on when that happens. So it's a really important timing aspect and tempo around buying those ships. Then we move into the investor round, and the investor round is going to see players joining together in the boardroom, where one of those companies will have a share that's forced out into auction, like that all players will participate in. Then individuals are going to take certain actions on behalf of corporations that they have shares in, but as an individual investor. And you can help enhance the board position, changing turn order for tempo considerations, like being the first in line to buy that next level ship technology that could obsolete all those lesser cargo ships. But that also comes at the cost of your own personal money, which at the end of the game is really your points. The game has a really tight economy, and it's filled with tough decisions on where you want to expand your network, how quickly you need to do that based on what other players around the table are doing. Can you save money and expand more slowly while you keep your dividends high with less shares out? Or do you need to expand really quickly to get out ahead of your competition before players lock you out? And as a result, issue more shares and dilute your dividends. You got to keep your funds to keep control of your corporation that's desperately running low on funds, right? And do you have a plan to get to Mega Earth? Because you're going to need a plan to get to Mega Earth. Interesting decisions are great, but what would a game about venture capitalism in space be without aliens? One of the most fun and interesting features of Stellar Ventures is the ability to visit alien planets. And this will allow you to gain powerful alien technology that you can be used to boost your cargo permanently, enable your corporation to wormhole so that you could just drop outposts across the map without the typical concerns around placing adjacent to your existing network. And then if you visit enough alien planets, you can actually reach an agreement with the aliens. You issue a share to them. This involves a little bit of exploration to reveal what benefits will come with signing the share. You'll get some unique corporate powers that can supercharge your operations, immediate special dividend to get cash in the round, which is a unique situation. They'll get paid to all shareholders based on how strong the alien corporation is when you sign. And you'll also potentially gain these huge endgame bonuses based on how many alien planets you sign before visiting. Alien planets you visited before signing the agreement. If you sign early, you get more cash, and other players have more cash than other players in order to seize investment opportunities. But if you sign later, when the aliens are paying more, you can get higher in-game money and higher end-game bonuses. But signing isn't as great as it seems, because if you do choose to sign the agreement with the aliens, you need to be prepared to make sure that your corporation can outperform the alien corporation by the end of the game, or else it's going to be subject to a hostile takeover, where the aliens are going to take control of your company. You'll lose that big end game bonus. Your shares turn into shares of the alien corporation, which are far less valuable. It can be a bit of a deal with the alien devil if you aren't careful before the end of the game. Speaking of the end of the game, another core element of this game is its clock. The game is always moving forward, but players are really in control of how quickly that game end may arrive. How aggressively they order ships is what determines that. When you order ships, you have to first exhaust the current level of cargo technology before moving to the next, which could saddle your corporation with lesser technology until it becomes obsolete. That makes it much better for another corporation to gain higher technology more quickly. But maybe you have shares in that one too, so it helps you out just as much as another player. Ordering ships also opens up new phases of the game, which may increase the power of the alien corporation. It could lead to other incentives to signing the agreement. A sixth company launches in the middle of the game to provide investment opportunities, push the game's tempo, and then finally the last phase triggers the aliens turning hostile. And at that point, you actually can't sign the agreement with them anymore, and it will begin the final rounds of the game. So you don't want to wait too long to sign, or else the aliens might not be worth anything, and all those planets you had visited previously are going to be a lot less than you were hoping. When the game end arrives, you value up your shares across all corporations, you check your personal money, and whichever investor has the most wins the game. And that's it. So we just wanted to thank you for taking time to watch this video and your consideration for Stellar Ventures. And we'd love to be a part of PAX Rising and show this game off to a lot more people.